Doctors Without Borders flag on the top, and it is an old flag. On that time we had another logo. It's quite a lot of time. Nowadays we have another logo. This is my house in Kabul. It was affected by war. You can see the damages and ravages. This is a room that we were receiving guests, but on that time we were receiving rockets. You can see the sign. This is the street ending up to my house, but on that time you can see both sides of the road was beautiful houses, nice houses, and these are the poles for the electrical buses. On that time we had also electrical buses made in Czechoslovakia and Afghanistan. We were not so poor as now, but those are all destroyed and sold as by kilo to neighboring countries. And one time when I went back to Kabul, I missed the road to my house. I have to turn right, but because there was no sign of the school and the houses, then I missed the road. This is one of the beautiful palaces in Afghanistan, south of Kabul, called Dar al-Aman, one of the palaces of the king who got our freedom, Amanullah, King Amanullah. But it was turned to a ruin during the late 90s. As we talk about Médecins Sans Frontières, it's a humanitarian organization provide assistance to population in distress, victim of natural and or man-made disaster, victim of all conflict, irrespective of their race, religion, creed, or political convictions. It is founded in 1971. If you want to know more about the history, I can tell you more, but concerning the time, I will not go to the details. It was based on the Biafra War and kind of no access to medical help, and that's the base of creation of it. And was founded by some French colleagues and some journalists from France, which they worked with ICRC, but they were not happy to keep silent, and they wanted to advocate for the right of people. Then they created this organization which doesn't keep silence, and not only on the medical issues. It won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1999. It could be working in a tsunami setting or floods, war. Recently we have this flood of refugees crossing the Mediterranean Sea and crossing to Greece and to get to Europe. A lot of them are dying on the way to cross to Europe. Médecins Sans Frontières also initiated a program to help those refugees to save their life. We observe neutrality, impartiality, and independence. We respect universal medical ethics and the right to humanitarian assistance. All our operations are based on this. Especially with the medical ethics, you have to consider that do not harm. You shouldn't harm any patient or any person. And patient autonomy, confidentiality, and informed consent should be respected, and their dignity, respect of cultural and religious value should be respected or respected. With impartiality and neutrality, assistance to people based on their needs, irrespective of their race or religion, gender or political affiliation. It's just based on their needs. And our decisions are, with the independence, our decision to offer assistance is in any country or any crisis is based on an independent assessment of people's need, not based on any kind of political or influential world decision makers. One of the components of our work is also bearing witness advocacy, or what the French call témoignage, which I told you this is the one component of the work that MSF is created for, because on the based of medical ethics, they were not sharing any information and not talking about it. But based on this issue, they can talk and they can elaborate issues like extreme act of violence against individuals or groups of access to life-saving medical care is hindered, medical facilities come under threat, crisis or neglected, the provision of aid is inadequate or abused. In that cases, they are denouncing it and they are talking about it. Accountability, MSF is committed to be regularly evaluated the effect of its activity. We assume the responsibility of accounting for our action to our patient and also to our donors. MSF has more than 23 associations and 32 offices located in different parts of the world. And we have these, with the red one, we have 5 operational centers in France, Paris, Belgium, Spain, Holland, and Switzerland, that they are operational centers. The other offices also cooperating or they are working under same umbrella. But all the bases respected by every. This is mainly general information about the organization, and now I will elaborate some link of emergency medicine with the organization. As I mentioned shortly, MSF creation was based on emergency medicine, access to healthcare and advocacy. One of the strong elements of this organization is Team Maniash, based on Biafra War in the 70s. And Biafra is located in Nigeria, for your information. And there was a crisis and people were neglected. They don't have access to medical health. Then that is the base of creation. More than half of our programs are related to war and violence, man-made disaster and natural disaster. If you are in the context of war, you can see, or if you are MSF field, you can see this kind of protection by sandbags. This is the OT in chart. But if you are lucky, the rockets will come from the side of the sandbags. If they are coming from the other side, then you are in problem. Most of the time, the context is military presence. Most of the time, you think that UN presence will give you more security, but on contrary, it can be targeted, and your life could be also in danger. This is a camp setting in Congo Democratic. You can see how crowded and small places people are concentrated in that kind of shelters, and how will be the lifestyle there, you can imagine. Sometimes you have to do tough negotiation, because even to operate a patient, you have to get the permission of the tribal chief or the chief of the family, and to convince them that we are trying to help because of your own safety, also because in the militarized zone, when the guns are around, if you miscommunicate, it can be catastrophic also for yourself. Sometimes you have war prisoners in this kind of tents. Before visiting them, I have to have a chat with the guards and I have to drink some tea. Then they were allowing me to visit the prisoner of war. You are working in a team, mainly local team. This is also a team in Chad. You have also international team from all over the world. This is one of the hospitals bombarded in Yemen. Unfortunately, during the last 2 decades, there is a new event coming up, because in the last decade, the hospitals were safe. They were respected to be a place that shouldn't be bombarded. But with the new war against terrorism and the new approach of the one who are leading the war against who I should call them, but they are not respecting any rule of war, not the Convention of Geneva. They are bombarding hospitals, medical facilities. Last year, there are 29 hospitals bombarded, and they are claiming that it could be collateral damage, but I don't believe them. It is just target, because they are seeing everything what they are bombarding. There are hospitals bombarded mainly in Afghanistan, in Syria, and in Yemen. From the professional side, you have to be good skills of coordination to control the patient flow. You have to have a good triage system. You are doing it based on A, B, C, D, E's that you are familiar with. I will not go to these details. All of you are having daily practice of this, but in a quiet setting. But when you are in MSF setting, then could be different. But the basic principle stays the same. But the facilities are different. Sometimes you have CT or echoes, X-ray or lab, sometimes not. If I make a short sentence, then it is emergency medicine is the core activity of Médecins Sans Frontières. As I mentioned, more than 50% of the program are in war zones that you can see wounds like this. You can see wounds like this. But one message I have for all of you, if you have no experience with war injuries, then this is one of all war wounds are contaminated. Do not suture a war wound initially, even a small wound, because of catastrophic results. War wounds has their own rules, mainly the debridement and secondary closure is, or delayed primary closure is the rule. If you do it precoce, then it can cause infections like this. They are sutured in the field before coming to the MSF facilities. This is an ED in Congo. It looks colorful, but it's not very well equipped. Maybe some difference with your EDs. This is a scale. This is the way of transport in mostly African countries and in the third world. If this truck is getting an accident, which is not far, could be daily practice, then you will have a crowded ED, and you have to practice all this. What Professor Abu Hassan was talking about disaster. It could be a disaster, mass casualties. You can save or help children with a small act of putting a plaster or immobilizing a fracture. This guy was walked, or he was brought by friends for hours to walk, but with a small act, you can help him with a local anesthesia, make the incision bigger than it was out. It is an arrow. If you have the basic principle of surgery, then you can alleviate suffering of somebody or save some life with a small act of putting a chest drain. Or you can save life of a child with this image. Most of you should know what should be this fluid. Hemothorax, but it was pus. I was called that the child is breathing very badly, and when I saw the X-ray, it was like this, and with a small caliber drain, he was helped, and his life was saved. With a small traction, you can save a life or alleviate his suffering. When you travel or work in the field, you can see different way of immobilization. This is the traditional way, but it was not very effective because they should have chosen for longer stocks, not so short. If you have basic skills of surgery, you can save 2 lives in 1 act, cesarean section. If you travel in the world, this is called girgir. This is mainly in Africa, and they all believe that if you wear this belt, you are bulletproof. But I was receiving them quite daily in the emergency, but that was not very effective as they were believing. You can see different way of printing the old way. You can see different way of transport, but this is quite a dangerous stuff also. You can have every day in your emergency department when they are going down from the hill, then they have mainly humerus fracture or femur fracture because they cannot break properly. This is one of the hospitals I have worked in Congo, Ruchuru, many times. This is a kitchen, maybe not looking like your kitchen, but everybody is cooking for his own family and patient because they are taking care. This is Salle d'Urgence Emergency Department, just at the entrance, and you see MSF cars. And yesterday when we were training, they were surprised when they were asked by the fire brigade to do a reverse parking. This is the reason, because when you are in an insecure setting, you have to be ready always to leave also. MSF has also a setting which is not safe, and they are all parked like anytime you can be called to leave, evacuated. Sometimes I bring also some small toys for the children. Maybe they never touched it, but even with their suffering, they are enjoying to play with it and to make a race. It is not all about war and catastrophic images, but you can see also nice sunsets. This is Congo River, between Congo Brazzaville and Congo Kinshasa, or Congo Democratic. You can leave your project by horse, but you have to be careful. You can have baboons on the way. If you have any question, I will be happy to answer. And I'm on time. No questions so far? I was very clear.